To continue. Fifth contrast, no harm, right? So you see why I sell grapes with the Japanese black vine grape to compare. My place is a black vine, too. Then a bunch of Japanese black vine grapes is 1500 yen, and some are 800 yuan. Do you understand? Now it's 800 yuan a bunch. I know this case 100 yuan is also very cheapo. Do you understand? Without comparison. You don't know whether your things are cheap or expensive. So you see that Xiaomi, have you seen Lei Jun's product launch? He is Xiaomi's technical parameter every time. So what? Any luck with Samsung specs, Apple specs? The original others are 1G, his 1.5G. This speed fast? Very soon. Then, how much is Apple, how much is Samsung? Me 1999, so cheap. If you understand me. So does contrast matter? Let's read it together. When promoting your product, don't compare it to local products. If you are a county-level city, compare it to a first-tier city. If you are a first-tier city, you have to compare with international standards. In the process of comparison, consumers have a measure of the sense of value. So remember, why do people think your stuff is expensive? Listen up. We talked about what they call it down here. What about the cost? In the middle? The middle is called the price. When does it feel cheap? When your price is close to cost. People think it's cheap. Do you understand? If you don't add value, if you set your price there, do people see it as a price ceiling? Not worth it, right? If you could take that sense of value and increase it, and you set your price here, would people find it cheap or expensive? It's still cheap. Do you agree with that? If you say, well, your costs are here, but your sense of value is only there, so it still feels expensive. So what are you going to improve on? The sense of value. This is called shaping the value of the product. In fact, this contrast to business should not use this method. I've been telling this story all along. I used to sell albums. There's a 20-page album for sale, and there's a 10-page album. Is there? Yeah, that's why I'm in school. A 20-page album costs 18 yuan, and a 10-page album costs 14 yuan. But the purchase costs are basically 8 yuan, and 8.5 yuan. 20 pages photo album, 8.5 yuan purchase. Can you earn 9.5? That 14 yuan photo album 8 yuan stock can earn 6 yuan at most? So what do you think is better, me or what? Obviously the ones with the high margins or the ones with the low margins? Of course the profits are high. That would be a 20-page album, right? But which one do you think I should introduce? When I do introductions, I take a dozen 20-page albums at a time. I take a 10-page album. Then go door to door. After the introduction, when the guy wanted to buy 10 pages of the album, I told him it was not a good deal. 10 pages for 14 yuan, 20 pages for 18 yuan. This averages 0.9 a page, that one costs $1.4. They say that makes sense, and then what? Then I'll buy 20 pages. And I'll make a few dollars more. And I was pitching for a year, and one of my classmates said, I don't want 20 pages, I want 10 pages. And then I'm forced to sell him that one. The next day, I went back to a 10-page book. And then when I graduated, I still had that one. Then use it yourself. So you have to get a proof. Which is better than which? Compare what? More expensive. And then the other ones are relatively cheap. So contrast is important. What's the name of the sixth? For the details, let's read it together. Point-by-point cognitive psychology, through a certain point or several points of the product, so as to enhance the whole. So you see, a product doesn't have a lot of details. You can shape any detail. Isn't it? Let's take an example. The more layers you have, the better. Let's talk about it. What about the people who sell clothes? Do you know why the collar of this dress is designed this way? Because you are wearing to business occasions. The display of temperament is very important. And this collar has a curved line design. It will bring out the facial qualities of a person of your size. Please look in the mirror and see if there is a big difference with this flat collar. Well, maybe he's not so good at it. But does it make a difference when you focus on it? You go and make clothes, and you see, there's a flat collar. There's a green collar. Did you find anything? And then he shapes you. What kind of fruit collar is authority? He shapes it anyway. Even if the flaws are shaped by him. What do you feel? Feeling is a good virtue. Again. Buttons. Do you know why the buttons of this dress are made of this color and material? This kind of so-and-so material will be more firm after wearing with so-and-so line, and it will not look too tight. From the fine degree of buttons, it can reflect your personal taste. So this suit is very suitable for you to wear on business occasions. Wow, with this molding, do you feel the sparkle in the dress? A lot of detail. Look at me, I've been buying his clothes for years. Where are his clothes? The so-called Italian fabric. Is this garment now mostly made of Italian fabric? But this is how he shaped it. His tie was a hand-knitted tie. What is a hand-knitted tie? The general tie is not all machine pressure out. It is pure hand-woven. He said it would take more than 30 years of artisans to make such a tie. Moreover, even a technician with more than 30 years of experience can only knit 2.5 ties in a month. Now this tie sells you 8,800. Do you feel very cheap? Do you understand? So his shirts are all handmade. It takes 180,000 stitches by hand from the body all the way up to the pants. Wow, it's worth a lot when you do the math, right? And then he talks about pants in general. We wear them for a long time? Do these pants glitter all the way up the butt? I guess so. Why is that? This is the witness to these pants. And the friction, he said that the average cloth can only be worn 2,000 times. It will shine. But it is this kind of fabric can be rubbed 20,000 times. Such a molding does not feel very cattle. And he's talking about whether all this textile stuff is a little industrial methanol. Isn't it? So our national standard is almost 200 milligrams per square meter, which belongs to the national standard. But this fabric, it's only 20 milligrams per square meter. And then you wear this cloth. The fabric of the coat can be used directly to touch the baby's skin without damaging the baby. Wow, isn't that a great fabric? And then he said, what is the average suit? One brand, and the suit has two brands. One on the left is the brand of clothing. The other on the right is the brand of fabric. Do you understand? What happens when you do that? Do you think it feels cheap or expensive? That molding feels relatively reasonable. Isn't it? Do you understand? So this is a detailed description. Let customers feel more value. For those of you who don't quite understand, you can read it twice. I'll continue in the next video.